I have multiple identities. I could challenge you from another identity. That's always possible too. I
Well,
could.
okay. What I'd like to know is, and
Yeah.
you're the first person that I've seen, and maybe I'm wrong. You're the first person that I've seen that got dressed up in a suit
Yep.
and a shirt and a
Yeah.
tie.
That's
Everybody else was like in a summer like t-shirt and.
exactly.
Biz Nasty was in a thong.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I don't need to
I
see
would have
that.
gone there, but I didn't want to be like I was copying. But yeah, no, I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah, I'm glad
Sorry,
you
I'm not.
didn't
I'm
wear a
not.
thong.
I'm not. I'm not spoiling my Calvin Klein suit. Sorry, if I ever got challenged, I'm not asking for a challenge.
Well, this is the funny thing. Not only did I have the suit, I had this. The funniest thing was this. So my wife has been training for a marathon, and she hurt her foot. My daughter, who was in the video, has like you can tell she has like a knee brace on. She hurt her knee. So everybody came home and everybody was cranky, and I was like, "Listen, guys, just relax. You're about to pour buckets of ice on my head and film it." And they're like, "What?" Yeah, and it kind of cheered everybody up. It was pretty funny. My wife was really just like, she was so tired, and her knee was like killing her, and I was trying to get things together. I have an old Mac laptop, like an old Mac laptop Pro. It's got like the insides taken out of it. I've used it for parts on different machines I have, but I can't tell whether the insides are out of it or not unless you take it apart. And I didn't have the tool to take it apart, so I have two Mac laptops, and I was going to take one out there and have it on my lap while I got the ice dumped on. I was going to take the bad one, and have the ice dumped on top of it, like so it looked like I was on my laptop the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't get the thing started to see if it was the bad one or not, and I couldn't find the other one. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I want to do this so badly, but if this is if this is a working laptop, I'll feel like an absolute idiot. So the funny thing was there was like 4 or 5 takes actually in the beginning when I was like drinking the Baileys. So I actually had quite a bit of Baileys before that whole thing shot.
Can I say something before we start the show here?
Like Josh.
I know we're live. I know we're live, but
Yes.
For those listening, I want to a little bit of a rant here.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if you guys have seen the story or not, but Robin Williams' daughter is deleting all her social media accounts because of the harassment she is receiving from people. For those people that are doing that, that's just disgusting. Yeah. This is a time for grieving, not a time for someone to attack her verbally on Twitter.
I mean, honestly, I can't conceive of a reason why you would do something to someone who is in a, in the state that she's in right now. She's lost her father. It's a tragedy. It's, depression is an absolutely horrible thing. He was only 63 years old. He was gone way before his time. And for these scumbuckets out there, whoever they're doing, whatever they're saying to her, if it's not anything like my sincerest condolences, shut your mouth.
Yeah, right. And if you know the people that did that, report it, because it's not right, and it's not fair, and she's again, she's grieving over the loss of her father. She shouldn't have to worry about people attacking her. And one of her Twitter messages, her last Twitter message last night, she said that she's shaking. I'm shaking.
Yeah, it's brutal.
And she asked fellow users to report the alleged tormentors to Twitter managers because it's disgusting. It really is disgusting.
Yeah.
There are a lot of great things about social media, and especially in sports. I mean, it's a community, but there, even in in the news field, something gets out there very quickly. But with things like this is when I, in a way, really hate social media, because this is a repository for cowards.
Mm-hmm.
They would never do something like that if there was any way to trace it back to them, and I just think it's disgusting. So
yeah, and even Fox yesterday was terrible. I don't know if you saw any of the stuff that they were saying. They were basically ripping Robin as well.
Sorry.
No, I mean, honestly,
Fox is always. I'm sorry.
Gosh, honestly, I watch Fox a lot. They weren't over the top. I mean, they weren't any more over the top than some of these entertainment shows. I mean, they weren't, they were treating it as a news story. Now, I think at a certain point, you don't want to hear about it anymore. I mean, you don't want to hear the details. I mean, you're going to have newspapers out there, that are more sensationalistic, that are going to go into the gory details of things. But
do you know who Shep Smith is, who's on Fox? I mean,
he's a reporter.
He called Robin Williams a coward on Fox yesterday.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, I didn't see that, and the thing is that the funny thing is, he is not one of these conservative commentators. He's not a Bill O'Reilly. He's not a Sean Hannity. On Fox, he is pretty much the entertainment guy or like one of their news guys. So that's pretty surprising. But I've seen some commentary out there that I don't agree with at all, and I know that Rush Limbaugh made some rather colorful comments. And at this point, just keep your mouth shut. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, this is the biggest celebrity to pass away since Michael Jackson, in my opinion. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I would say so too. It is one of those like I'll remember where I was moments, like when it happened. I'll always remember where I was on a podcast, with you guys. Yeah. It's one of those things you just will definitely.
I mean, when the president the president releases a statement, he doesn't do that for everybody.
Right.
No, I mean, okay. Granted, the thing was that Robin Williams was originally from Chicago, I believe, or was a Chicago-based comic, and so Obama is from Chicago. So I think that was one of the reasons why.
I gotcha.
I think that's one of the reasons why. I mean, yes, he is. I mean, he's been on the entertainment stage, like you showed, Josh, since the late '70s when he was on Happy Days. So he's been in the realm of entertainment for over 40 years, almost 40 years.
Yeah,
long time.
And it was a unique talent. So it's. Like Michael Jackson, we're probably not going to see somebody like him ever again.
Yeah. And if you guys get a chance, I'm sure it's on YouTube, Jimmy Kimmel last night talking about Robin Williams. Like, he couldn't even get the sentences out. It was pretty emotional.
Yeah. And Jimmy Fallon, too. So
that's what I meant, Jimmy Fallon, not Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, I'm sure Jimmy Kimmel did as well. But
Jimmy Kimmel actually canceled his show.
Yeah, everybody is paying tribute. So
Yeah. I think we need a time there's a definite discussion to be had about the internet and trolling. That's in and of itself. There's good trolling and there's bad trolling, and there's a time, and you have to. I know people have often taken me to task for this because you have to stick by. Like I, as a person who doesn't use my regular name and stuff like that. I get it. I get when people take me to task for that and I didn't do it for other reasons, like for more personal reasons and like family reasons and stuff like that. But and I'm so thrilled I did it the way I did it at this point. But I also have put myself out there. I am accountable for things, and I have credentials for the NHL and the Flyers and things like that. So do this podcast and people know who I am, and it's not like it's not a big deal, but. There's this power that comes with anonymity that people can use towards real evil, and that that you're not, since your name's not being accounted, you can just say whatever the hell it is you want to say, and that's not the way this world works, and it's not the way it doesn't. That's karma, if nothing else, will get you in that kind of world. So that's something I have an issue with.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, you can take it at a certain point in going into the sort of sports arena here. There are certain people on Twitter, on Facebook, that their persona on there is that of the wise ass, the sarcastic. I'm gonna respond. I'm gonna be completely 180 degrees contrary to, what you're saying, just to sort of jab, just to sort of get under the skin. And I understand that.
Well, that's been going on forever too, and that's not just a social networking thing. That's a shtick. That's that's been happening. That happened in shock. Like there are shock jock bloggers out there, and that's what they are. They're shock jock, and that's what they do. And the ones who admit they do that, I'm totally fine with. The ones who go on the radio and pretend that they're not that way, I have issues with. And I don't want to go much further than that on that one, but.
No. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not right. I'm not going to name specific names or anything like that. I'm not going to accuse anybody. But no, there's a radio talk show host who did a documentary recently, And he said at a certain point in his career, he developed this persona that, of the jackass radio host, and it spurred his career. And I'm like, okay, well then everybody knows that is a persona, so there's no problem with that. But when you carry that to social media and you're anonymous and you do, or if you're somebody who is established and you do that. There is a line there, I think, that shouldn't be crossed, but that's the last thing I have to say. I
have one thing to add, and this I think is the best way of putting what you're talking about there. I have a friend who works with Howard Stern and is on the Howard Stern show, and Howard Stern obviously plays a part. He plays a part and he does his thing, and he's been doing that forever, and he's very successful at it. He's funny. He shares a birthday with me, by the way. Not the same year, but same day. Us and Claude Giroux. But anyway. He brought up a point to me one time that was just outstanding. That if you have Howard Stern and say you have Rush Limbaugh, you've got two people who would play roles, play specific roles to what they are. They're playing to their crowd. And he said the thing about guys like that is they're so smart that if you asked them if you said next week you guys are going to switch roles, they could do it in a heartbeat. And they could argue the other case, and they could just, that's what they're doing. And you have to understand that they are just going, they know the right buttons to push to piss off people, or the right buttons to push to rally people.
Yep.
And that's it. So that's not hard to do in my mind. I mean, it's you have to be intelligent or whatever, and you can play that. But there's easy ways to do that, and there's been a lot of discussion lately, and it's just, I didn't really want to get into this, but we'll get into this at some point. But go ahead, Josh.
I just wanted to say you brought up Howard Stern, and Howard Stern actually talked about obviously yesterday about the death of Robin Williams, and he went back and talked about the last time he interviewed Robin Williams, and the first time he interviewed him was when he was at K-Rock in the 90s, and he said that he regretted the interview because he said he wasn't happy with the way it went, and he pissed off Robin, and he talked about how he was going to call him. That he's off and on, he was going to call him and apologize, and he wanted to have him on the show. And the day he died, he was talking to his wife, saying, "You know what? I'm going to write a letter to Robin. I want to amend things." And then she came in and said he just died. So it was pretty crazy.
That's nuts. I mean that's the thing. I mean, it's just there's so many things like that happen, and the one thing we will do at some point is we'll have a big discussion on bloggers in the mainstream media, because it has been going on lately, and it's been talked about. And honestly, I think it's a moot point at this point. I think it's when I listen to some of the arguments being made about the fighting between these sides, it all reminds me it all is connected. It's all connected together to this whole thing of anonymity or jealousy or trolling. They're all sort of connected together. And it's funny. Anyone who tries to make this whole big deal of mainstream media and bloggers are absolutely absurd in my mind, because there is no difference at this point, none. I've been around both. We have Kevin Allen on the show all the time. He's the head of the Professional Hockey Writers Association. He's as mainstream media as you can get. And he's no different than us. And we talk hockey, and it's all the same. So it's completely, I don't know. I have issues with people who were bloggers that turn into the mainstream media and then suddenly try to be like, oh, I'm just another blogger. There's certain things that really have got the last couple of days. I won't get into that, but we'll talk about that at some point, and have some good old-fashioned debates about that, because that's definitely a fun topic to talk about, sort of, at times. Let's get into the show. Let's start the show.
Wednesday, August 13th.
Wednesday, August 13th. It is indeed.
And I got a little bit of hockey news, minor hockey news.
Good, I got some hockey news too. So I'll go to you first with your minor hockey news, though. Oh, I actually have.
It's not minor hockey, but it's minor.
Minor league. It's minor league hockey news.
Not NHL news.
Not minor. It's NHL news. But
minor hockey news.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a restricted free agent.
All right, let's go. August 13th. Awesome. Hey, Hockey World! It is Wednesday, August 13th, 2014.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Josh Rimmer.
And I'm Eklund, and you're watching the Hockey Buzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com, coming to you today. And Oh man, last night I got to talk about the ice challenge stuff. I have a good story to tell. We've got some ice challenges to show you on video, which you want to do, which are good because I challenged 3 lovely ladies, and then one of them had already been challenged, which I think is really giving the people what they want with the ice challenge. I mean, who would want to challenge? Who would want to see me get ice chopped on my head?
Well, apparently Greg Wyshynski.
Yes. Like I said, Greg, the nicest thing you've ever done for me. So anyway, but I went for it, and I went for Paige, just like I said I would. Good old Paige, who was on the show before. I went for Julie Robenheimer, our buddy, and then also I went for Sarah Baker. Now Sarah had already been challenged minutes before I challenged her, and they're filming that for Comcast Sportsnet today, so that'll be kind of fun to see how that works out here because Sarah works for Comcast Sportsnet. So instead, I went off the board a little bit for Monica McAllister, another a Toronto area blogger who I really enjoy and is a fun read. And so I think that she's working on it right now too. And but I got to give Paige credit first before we go any further because Paige, you pulled this together pretty quickly. First off, I did not know you were on vacation. I feel horrible about that. Like poor woman's on vacation when I challenged her. You've got 24 hours to dump ice on your head, and she's in Ontario. And I'm just like, holy frig, sorry about that, but she's a trooper in the biggest possible way. So I'm going to show you her her job here that she did. This is kind of impressive. Let me see if I can get this here up and running. But yeah, they spent some time in Kingston, and now they're heading to Montreal right now. But before she took off to Montreal, she did this. Hold on, come on, can't find it. All right, here we go. I am so bad at. Sorry about this. This is technology. Just pretend this is a little. Dun, 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 dun.
Want me to get the Jeopardy music?
Yeah, I need like the girl from Impanina going in the background. I think that's pretty much what I need right now. All right, here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. Because you got to follow her, by the way. All must follow Paige. No question about this. All right, so let me see if I can bring this up here.
Hi, I'm Paige.
All right, hold on. I'm making this bigger. Pause. Okay, so this is. I don't know how well you'll be able to hear this. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear this pretty well. Let's see. All right, YouTube. We'll go to YouTube and do this. All right.
Hi,
Pause.
I'm Paige Lewis from Panther Parkway, and I am here to accept the
Wait,
ALS.
and a real show would have had this prepared ahead of time. I'm sorry, guys. Here we go. It's August, so deal with it. All right, let's do this.
You want me to give you my hockey news while you're doing that?
No, I got it right now.
Okay.
I'm good.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Here it is. We're about to do it right now, so I got it. Here we go. So here's Paige. Good old Paige. Here she is. Okay, ready? I can't make it bigger than that, unfortunately. I don't think so. Well, let me see if I can, but I don't think.
That's good.
We're gonna keep this. Ready? Here we go. So let me go back, and I think you should be able to hear it if I put this speaker up to the microphone. Good old-fashioned. Oh man, what am I doing? All right, here we go. Paige Lewis, Hockey Buzz's guest from a few weeks ago.
Hi, I'm Paige Lewis from Panther Parkway, and I am here to accept the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge in support of ALS from Eklund of Hockey Buzz. So this one's for you.
Damn straight, Paige.
I now nominate Mike O'Brien from Panther Parkway, Travis Viola, Vice President of Hockey Operations in the Florida Panthers, and Jen L.C. of Second City Hockey. You have 24 hours to complete this challenge.
All right, so there's Paige. Give her props. That was good. That was good stuff.
Hey, just a warning. Someone signed into your account from another location.
What?
And, though you see the big warning there at the top.
Oh yeah. That was me. I know. Sorry. Was it you? Yes, it was.
There you go.
So we're waiting on Julie, and
Monica.
And Monica McAllister, who is pretty stressed out about the whole thing apparently. So I didn't.
It's no need for stress.
You gained some new enemies there.
It's really not that bad. I mean, it's so what? So basically, here's my story quickly. I'll tell you my story. My family was in a terrible mood, so they came back, and everybody was just really frustrated. And I said, well, you know what, guys? I'm gonna cheer you up. We're gonna drop ice on my head today. And my kids were like immediately, okay, we're gonna. They stepped into gear. They're like, we got our costumes on. We're out. Boom, boom, boom. They're out the door. My son, by the way, is the one to watch in the video if you get a chance. He's hilarious. after he drops well, look at my son. After he drops ice on me, he goes like this. He puts his fingers together and goes, "Wah." It's great. He's all of 9. So anyway, so we go outside. I go to the Flyers bench. I have one of my most prized possession is the Flyers bench from the Spectrum that was in the penalty box for the Broad Street Bullies all those years. That's a really cool find that I have that I own. Probably one of a kind for sure. So I was going to sit on that bench. I had an old laptop ready to go that I was going to use. It was going to be really cool, and that so it would look like I was getting something dumped on a laptop. But this laptop doesn't work anymore. I've been using it for parts forever for the other Apple laptops I had, but I wasn't sure if I had the broken one or not, so I didn't use that one. It's funny. We did like 4 or 5 little takes, before we got to actually doing it. So I was drinking the Baileys there every take and getting a little bit more, because you know me, I'm not a drinker. So anyway, it was fun, and and it was painful and quick, and your ears hurt, basically. That's what I found. I didn't find any other pain like Greg talked about in his thing, but I definitely my ears hurt. I'll just say that much.
Yeah, no icebergs and no anything else.
Yeah, and it's just the funny thing about this is, like, for people who you would never know this about it. I hate swimming. I hate water in general. I'm not the kind of guy who would ever jump into a pool. I'm like the kind of guy who would ease himself slowly into a pool. I hate ice. I hate cold pools. So this was like definitely my kids knew that this was going to be hilarious. And my daughter, who was like a nut, wanted me to dump ice on her head after we were done. Like, and put that in the video too. But the funniest thing is my dear and loving wife, who, when I told her we had enough ice, went out and got a big bag of ice. So that just tells you where I stand. But I like this. I think it's a great thing. And you guys, of course, saw Paul Bissonnette's, right? I mean, that was just... There's a guy that a team, and then now the rumors say the Caps are interested in him. I don't think it has anything to do with necessarily his ability to take, glacial ice.
Did you see that video? That was pretty funny.
It's awesome. He did a great job, Yeah. He did a phenomenal job. So, and
anyone know if LeBron accepted his challenge or no?
Right, from Bissonnette. He's got to do it.
It's been 24 hours though.
Yeah, it's true.
72 hours.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I guess you give a guy like that some leeway, but you shouldn't. I mean, I wanted to.
Oh, what's $100 to him to make a donation anyway, right?
I'll tell you, I made a donation as well. Okay.
Oh, look at you.
I did. Okay, because that's just the way we roll. Because I wasn't sure if I would get it done, and I wanted to have that in the background. Because it was raining like a cow on a flat rock outside. It was nuts out. So it was raining like cats and dogs. So there you go. There you go. So, Josh, what's your minor...
I actually got 2 things I want to bring up now since the show started. First one is Danny DeKeyser telling everyone in Detroit that he's close to signing a new deal with the Detroit Red Wings. That's my minor news. And also, while we've been on the air, a press release from your Toronto Maple Leafs just came out, and it's interesting. Toronto Maple Leafs president Brendan Shanahan will detail the club's plans to unveil an important team legacy initiative honoring Leafs greats during the Leafs Nation Fan Fest weekend next month. Shanahan will be joined by the Leafs alumni as he reveals details in the name of the first player to be honored. So we were talking about that yesterday, I believe, weren't we? About jersey numbers retired.
This is a press release about plans to unveil something else.
Well, yeah.
So this is 5 things away from the actual thing we're talking about. This is
there is a plan in Maple Leaf Square
to unveil something else. The press release is talking about that.
There is a plan.
Right. There's a plan.
For a monument in Maple Leaf Square outside of the Air Canada Centre.
Right.
The club is going to reveal the first 3 probably Hall of Famers who are going to be part of this monument. It's going to have a number of players. Lance Hornby wrote about it in today's Toronto Sun, and I actually was in the process of writing about that for my blog today. They haven't revealed.
Screwed you then.
Sorry. I'm screwed.
They haven't revealed the names yet, but they said one of them. What's that?
Who do you think that will be?
I think one of them they said is posthumous. They said one of them has passed away. I would assume that's Tim Horton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monikowski's got to be in this bunch, right? I mean,
yeah, sure. Aki Bird.
Robert Reichel.
Yeah, there you go. Yorke Lume. Okay, a lot of luminaries. No, I think it's probably going to be
Punch Imlach?
Hort. No way. No, not only if you want to have a monument to someone who destroyed the team.
Yeah.
No, I think it'll be Horton. I have a strange feeling it's going to be maybe Barilko.
okay.
And either Daryl Sittler or Wendell Clark. I mean, although they only said one of them has passed away, so maybe Barilko would be down the line a little bit. But I have a feeling Wendell or Sittler, will be part of it. And the thing is, you have so many of the '60s Maple Leafs teams like Johnny Bauer and Frank Mahovlich who are still alive that they probably want to honor them with this. Dave Keon. I mean, the thing is, Dave Keon would be the first one that everybody would think of, but there is a relationship with Dave Keon and the Maple Leafs going back to the Harold Ballard days. And I mean, maybe this would be a way of bridging that gap and sort of, honoring him. And I think a lot of people would be in favor of that. But the relationship between the Leafs and him have been cold over the last 30 years.
Yeah, they have, and I think I'm always a fan of teams, especially teams like this, going and honoring guys from the past. I think that this is a team that doesn't do that.
I might have other news here.
Josh, was that your breaking news sign?
Reading between the lines here, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, how Teemu Selanne had an offer to play in where was it, Mike?
Jokerit.
And that's in Finland, right?
Yep. $10 million to play all the games, $5 million just to do the home games.
And has it come out yet that he is going to play?
No, I don't think so.
Because I'm supposed to be doing some business with Teemu in August, and he's just informed me that he's going back to Finland September the 5th.
Okay. That could be anything, though.
But he wasn't supposed to be going back. He was supposed to be back in California.
Okay.
So maybe.
I mean, I know. I think he wants to play there. I talked to some people who said that he wanted to play there. But that's the travel is. I think I would bet he would do the home thing. More than anything else. I would not guess the. Because the travel in the Russian league we've already talked about, obviously, besides the planes and just the general 12 time zones you got to cross to play teams. I think that it makes Anaheim look like it's in the Metropolitan Division basically to play in Russia. So I would say, home games are a good possibility. Why not, right? I mean, it's a kind of strange thing though when you got a guy just playing home games for your team. It's not. If you're a teammate of that guy, can you imagine like, oh, okay, well, we're going on the road. We'll see you next week when we get back, Teemu. You stay here with your $5 million and we'll go on the road and try to win some games.
I've asked him if he could tell me if he's going back.
Well, I mean, I would think that the $5 million, that the home only contract would be something that would interest him. I mean, if
how do you spell Jokerit? Jokerit.
Yes.
Jokerit.
Perfect.
So I mean, it is, but at the same time, like I said, I mean, is it the kind of thing that Teemu would do? Like, I play just home games. It seems he's a team guy, like it's not.
But it's $10 million, right?
Well, it's $5 million to play the home games, $10 million to play all the games.
Oh, okay. Shit, I'd do that. I'm no good though.
Sure.
Shimmy.
We'll give him a call. We'll give him a call and see if they win. No, but I think that I mean, I don't know if I think I'd lose a little respect for Teemu if he just took $5 million to play home games. I mean, I've always respected him, but I think that's kind of a lame thing to do.
So maybe,
What do you think, Mike? No?
It's a fledgling organization in the KHL. They're looking for a signature player. He is, that he would help that team out immensely, not only as a player because he's still at age 43. He would be a draw for that club. I mean, he's a legend in Finland. He's basically saying, I'm retired, but as a $5 million favor, I'll help you fill your seats. I have no problem with it whatsoever, and I think it would help that franchise get off their feet. So I think it would be a win-win for both of them.
He just got back to me and he said he's still not 100% sure.
Yeah, that's.
So he's still contemplating it, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
So there's a little news for you guys.
That's good. I mean, we should all be contemplating whether or not to take $5-10 million or nothing. But there you go. No, that's pretty good. Have you guys been following the Sedin versus Sedin stuff the Vancouver Canucks are doing?
No.
On YouTube?
No.
Really funny. It's actually very good. Like it's episode 1 was I'll show you a little bit of this. Let me stop it here. They in episode 1 they battle it out in a penalty kick shootout versus Vancouver Whitecaps the Vancouver Whitecaps goalie. So this is this reminds you of for those who are really old like the Spy versus Spy thing. For some reason when I see Sedin versus Sedin, remember Spy versus Spy, guys? Come on. Mad Magazine. So here's Sedin versus that was Spy versus Spy. Here's Sedin versus Sedin. So let me show you a little bit of this. This is like the penalty kick competition. This is pretty funny. All right, so and they played ping pong in another one, which is just I mean the Sedins are startlingly similar looking. I mean even for twins. Okay, so let's. I've been in rooms with them and I cannot tell who is who. I can't. So this is a little bit of like the. So they did this is the Vancouver soccer team obviously, but this is the event 1 penalty kicks. And I think this is kind of cool that they got these guys to do this. And as you know, what of course people have to remember is players who played in Finland and Sweden are always incredible soccer players, hockey players who played over there. That was like the thing they did. Part of the year hockey, part of the year soccer. So this is these guys aren't, this is no slouch. So the fact that these guys can score on an actual Major League Soccer goalie is not, it was a great, that was a heck of a save though.
Wow.
But yeah, this is
That was nice. Here you're supposed to score 4 out of 5 maybe. But you're supposed to say 9 out of 10.
I like this. Hold on. Put the volume up a little bit.
Two for 2. I'm in his head now.
Being trash talked by a Sedin. Just again, proof that penalty kicks are the most stupid thing in all of sports. But continuing, sorry.
Yes, tied. What's title? 2-2. On TV, the net looks so big and goal looks so small, but not a lot of room there.
All right.
Ah!
Shot it right at him.
Oh, he had it. Great save. Let's go here. Pressure's on.
Of course, we go to extra time.
Something that. I'll keep going. Let's miss. Oh yeah, we got it.
There we go, Enrique gets the victory. Pretty cool though. I like that. I like this kind of stuff. I don't know.
Well, what I think they should do for episode 2 is see which one Henrik or Daniel can withstand being speed bagged by Brad Marchand longer.
That I like. I like that idea. There's a ping pong episode, like the two of them playing ping pong, which is kind of surreal, But no, that's pretty good. I like that, Mike. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, a little bit of rumor stuff besides the Bissonnette, possibly to the Caps, and that looking pretty close to a couple people I talked to. Paul Bissonnette. I also Ryan Malone. I've heard a couple Ryan Malone rumors in the last couple days. For those of you who remember Ryan Malone or don't remember, Ryan Malone was picked up on drug possession charges, and does have a court case still to deal with down in Tampa. But this is kind of sucks because obviously what Malone did was wrong, but Ryan Malone is a good guy, and it's for what it's worth, I've always liked Ryan Malone, and I know that he always wanted to go back to play for Pittsburgh, and the Penguins, could probably use Ryan Malone. When you think about it, that's a place. But I've heard, the Flames. What are your thoughts on Malone, Mike?
Well, it does make sense in the sense that Brian Burke has long been involved with USA Hockey. Ryan Malone has been involved with USA Hockey for more than a few years. I don't believe he made the Olympic team in 2010, but I think he's played World Championships for them. And Brian Burke is also a guy, and one of the things I have a lot of respect for him about, that gives people a second chance.
Yeah, I thought that too, and it was the first thing that occurred to me when I saw this, and I heard about.
Now we know that Brad Treliving is the general manager, but Brad Treliving is a first-time general manager, and until somebody says otherwise, I still think of Brian Burke as the guy who's running the show there. So I wouldn't be completely surprised if Ryan Malone gets taking into consideration what he has to go through to, because if he gets convicted of a felony or something, and I don't know what the details of the situation with the charges in Tampa, but if he has any kind of problem, there would be a problem getting over and across the border all the time, or even playing in Canada. So
that's an issue. That's always an issue, but hopefully that can be worked out. Hopefully. It also brings up another issue that is kind of a little bit more controversial, but I will say this: I do believe that let me just put it this way: there are people who said if Ryan Malone was picked up for the same issue in Canada, would the police have looked the other way, or there's certain things that you wonder about where, and it's a hard thing to say because obviously what he did was wrong, but the issue is, I just can't help but think that, so many times people are let go for things like this, I don't know. I think that's, I guess,
everybody deserves a second chance.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
And, we've talked about Malone going to Pittsburgh for a long time. If you look at Pittsburgh's lineup, they could use, I don't know how much is left in the tank there with Malone. He's 34 years old, I believe. His play dropped off significantly. You don't know whether that was related to the problems that he was having off the ice.
Yeah, he just.
You give him a second chance, and he goes someplace where he's playing with talented players like a Pittsburgh. He could have a pretty quick turnaround. The expectations in Calgary right now are pretty much contending for Connor. Jack Eichel.
Right, so right. That's where they want to go.
This would be Malone getting his feet wet back in the NHL and proving that he could be an effective player, and then maybe down the line getting moved at the deadline or going into another team and continuing his career. So,
yeah,
there's a good chance, and I hope he gets the chance.
He is a good veteran presence for that Calgary team. When you think about it, if you just take all this other stuff aside, and it's hard to do that, of course, because that's part of the factor right now. But if you take it aside, Brian Malone there's a lot of young guys on that Calgary team. There's a lot of young players. Brian Malone is really in Pittsburgh. He was wonderful to helping Crosby adjust to the NHL. They brought him in to do the same thing for Stamkos in Tampa. Just in terms of this guy, he grew up around the rink. His dad, Greg Malone, obviously was a Penguin player. Great Stratomatic legend there too, Greg Malone. But Ryan Malone for sure, it just has that history, and I mean, I've interviewed him a couple times back when he was in Pittsburgh, and he couldn't have been nicer. He came on one of our podcasts one time too that we had, I think. So he couldn't have been nicer to us. That I really do. I do hope that this works out. Okay, now I have I have a correction to make for us right now, which is kind of something that we don't do very often. But this is legitimate. I actually screwed up yesterday. What does that sound?
What are these noises?
Josh, is that you? You got to turn down things there, man.
Yeah, sorry, I put you on vibrate.
No problem. Don't put me on vibrate.
I feel like we're in hockey season the way my phone's
I know. It's suddenly things are going crazy. All right, so yesterday we talked a little bit about Mikhail Prokhorov and Vladimir Putin. And I think Mike, you talked about how they were sort of, he was a supporter or alongside him or some kind of what have you. And I was like, geez, I made some jokes like basically because, and I have to admit that I have friends in the Ukraine and I'm really upset with Putin right now, and I don't want to get political, but there's things that I just have that really bother me. So I heard that and I sort of jumped all over it and said, geez, if one thing a New Yorker's not going to like is somebody who's in bed with Vladimir Putin, so I was corrected though to the whole thing, and Timothy, I really wanted to thank Timothy Finnegan, who took me to task on Twitter, and then I called him. I actually talked to him, and he's a young lawyer on Long Island, and he basically told me the story of Prokhorov, which is that he's not, that he's staunchly against Vladimir Putin, and essentially ran against him, and came pretty. The story is fascinating. It's a really incredible story, and this is the short version of it. But in the 2012 Russian presidential election, he was third in voting behind Putin, and so that what happened, and he actually created a new party called the Party of the Civic Platform. Now, Mikhail Prokhorov is a billionaire politician and the owner of the Brooklyn Nets right now. So, and he is one of these guys who he's only 49 years old. It's crazy. And think about, he's 4 years older than I am. But he is his estimated wealth, according to Forbes, in 2014 is $10.9 billion. Now, he almost in an earlier election almost beat Vladimir Putin at one time, and a lot of people feel like that was a major turning point in Russian history. And what was really fascinating is he wanted to run again against Vladimir Putin recently, and Putin put in a law that if you have any assets that aren't in Russia under your name, you can no longer run for office. And this law was put in directly, basically, for this guy, who of course owns the NBA team in America. At which time, Prokhorov tried to actually somehow incorporate the Nets as a Russian entity. There's a whole bunch of things that have had happening. It's been a very back and forth thing. But the bottom line is here, Prokhorov is very anti-Vladimir Putin, and I wanted to make sure that was something that we got out there and corrected, because I did not want the Islanders to be, I hate when the Islanders get pissed on essentially by the media, and I've said that before. Charles Wang is he's made some big mistakes, but the guy is also a major. He's a real hockey fan. He really is. He's a good guy. I've met him and talked to him. He's made some mistakes, obviously, but the way the Islanders have been handled.
Well, the thing is, we don't even know if Prokhorov is even involved in this, and we made that clear when we were
right,
because there's this secret owner that you had mentioned that Wong sold the team to on August 1st. Right. We don't even know who it is.
We don't know who that is, and but we had just talked about the fact that and how that also what also happened there was we talked about Garraway, who's suing Wong, and I talked to Timothy about that as well. And what he knew of that was, Garraway was, he said, and I said Garraway was part of the negotiations to get into Brooklyn as well, and Tim took difference of that. This is where I sort of will kind of, Barraway, sorry, not Garraway, I apologize. So anyway, what I will say is that, often, even though he wasn't technically part of the negotiations because he didn't own the team yet, it's not uncommon for the NHL to give a person who's apparently going to own a team, like a window and a say in a deal that's going to be made later that's going to affect him. And what I heard is that Barroway was, very much privy to information that was going on and knew about the contract which he was signing, or knew about the whole negotiations. Now, that being said, will this affect? I kind of implied, I guess, that this would affect them moving to Brooklyn, and at this point, the Brooklyn thing is a done deal and all that. So I wasn't trying to say that, and I just wanted to make sure that I was clear about that, and I apologize for my misunderstanding there. So that's just a little correction that I wanted to make. So thank you guys for checking out. Let's take some questions from the chat room while we're here too, and then I have a couple more little quick stories that I think are kind of funny. So while the questions are coming up, I wanted to talk NHL 15. I wanted to get a little bit geeky on you guys. I am, of course, a big NHL, EA Sports NHL, 15 or any year, video game geek, right? Let's say clearly. So NHL 15, I've been dying for the details. I got my Xbox One ready to go. We're going to simulate games. Trust me, NHL 15 will be part of this podcast at some point, as the other ones have been. But what was kind of cool is I got a story, and I'm just trying to get it up now, but anyway, about some of the details in NHL 15. Josh, have you been a player of these games?
I started early in Sega Genesis with 1994 EA Sports. I probably the last 2 years I haven't played as much as I used to. Maybe that has something to do with having kids, but I don't really play as much as I used to. I think I bought last year's and maybe played it once.
Yeah, I kind of did the same thing, and until we used simulating here, which I've used it a lot, but actually playing. I'm with you, and you know why I stopped playing? And Mike, how about you? You were you like an NHL 94 guy back in the day too?
I've never really gotten into any of the EA, I mean, back in the day, I've basically stayed loyal to Stratomatic. I like games that are based on statistics, and the thing is, there's an aspect now where these games are based on the player's capabilities, but the thing is, you can change that.
Yeah.
In the games, and I think that that's like basically making everybody in Stratomatic a 4 on offense, a 5 on defense. You can augment it. You can make the Toronto Maple Leafs a Stanley Cup winner if you want to.
Right.
The thing is, that's not reality. So,
Mike? How so? What do you think that's about?
And how many times have you made the Leafs a Stanley Cup winner, Mike?
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I understand the entertainment of it, and the thing is, like, I played, the football, and I played other EA games, and once you sort of master it, it sort of gets boring. So I stick to Stratomatic when it comes to sports games.
Mike, can I ask you, do you stick Stamkos on the Leafs?
No.
He's a hardcore. He's not going to.
Not one of these people who photoshops him on with a jersey. No, that's not me.
No,
I thought for sure that you would do that, but okay.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. I mean, the graphics look phenomenal. We talked about Russ yesterday. He said the arenas are going to be phenomenal because Russ has good friends. Shane Malone he works with on the show they do on XM is really involved in rating these guys. I've had some fun discussions with Shay. I forget where we were. I think it was Vancouver, where we were talking, where I got into some debates about, which every person who's played this game has wanted to do, is sit down and debate. There was, debate how good this guy is on defense, how good puck handler is, and then I got a chance to sit down with a guy who does it, so I had it out with him on my opinions. Yeah, you can change them, and some of that is great. We're going to be creating some teams, and that's a wonderful thing. But the graphics are looking phenomenal, and there's what do they call it? The unpredictability of NHL hockey. 12-player NHL collision physics utilizes the power of the next-generation consoles to allow for greater impact on the ice at all times. Additionally, our all-new real puck physics, which aka puck luck, leads to the unpredictable. I know that's Mike's favorite term, puck luck. The unpredictable and authentic puck spins, rolls, bounces seen in real NHL games. So basically, this means that you won't be able to score on Lundqvist. That's how I see it. Because no one had more puck luck than. Remember Lundqvist last year in the finals? Good time. No one had more luck than him, right? All right, let's take a couple questions here. Let's see what we got here. Any progress on the King Kamo, who earlier declared me king of the internet for my ice bucket thing, which I appreciate. Any progress on the Ryan Johansson talks, or are there just crickets? Well, Josh.
Yes. Right now it is crickets, but it makes me believe that something is going on. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I strongly believe a deal will be done soon. Obviously, training camp now is right around the corner, but I expect the deal to be done way before training camp. I know Johansson is back in Columbus, so I would not be surprised to see a deal done in the next week or two. But, I mean, honestly, Columbus is going to sign him. He's their future. He's their stud. He's going to be a 70, 80-point forward, maybe even as early as this year. The kid's got talent. The Jackets aren't going to lose that. Even if a team did match or throw out an offer sheet, Columbus would match it because he is their franchise, and everyone loves the kid. And, you know, once something gets done, it'll get done. Obviously, when Dubinsky got signed, he has the same agent, Kurt Overhart, as Ryan Johansson does, and that would kind of help talks move along a little bit because obviously there was a little bit of an issue between Kurt Overhart and the Columbus Blue Jackets, but that got resolved, obviously, when the Dubinsky signing happened. So I strongly believe, again, Johansson signs in the next 1-2 weeks. It'll get done.
Nice. I like it. There's crickets. I'm like, well done, nice. Mike. Whenever I see Mike's Google effects, I shiver in terror. Victor asks, what is our favorite hockey book? That's a good question. That's a good question. I'll start with that one because I know mine. And it's funny because it's a good friend of mine and completely and my favorite player of all time, Pelle Lindbergh. Bill Meltzer wrote a book about Pelle Lindbergh's life, and it's phenomenal. Absolutely, it's called Pelle, and it's you got to check it out. It's really awesome. It's on. If you look up Bill Meltzer and Pelle Lindbergh on Amazon, you can get to it. And Bill did some incredible research. Got to went to the grave sites in Sweden, talked to all the people involved in Pelle Lindbergh's life. I thought that was amazing. And yeah, so that's my favorite hockey book. I also read Fred Shearer's book back in the day. I can't remember what it was called, but it was really good as well. Josh, you have a book?
Yes, I do. Playing with Fire, the highest highs and the lowest of lows of Theo Fleury. I wanted to read this book because Theo is a good buddy of mine, and I've known him for years. But you know what? It was a book I couldn't put down. I read it from cover to cover in one day. It was amazing. Wow. I mean, not amazing, but I mean, it was a great book. What Theo went through wasn't amazing, but it was just something that I was glued to, and I couldn't believe the kind of things that Theo went through, from drug use to fornicating to walking around New York City with homeless people. It was pretty heavy. It was a heavy book. Maybe there were a few tears shed, but overall, it was one of the best books I've ever read.
Wow, that's awesome. And I also, along those lines, Kevin Allen's biography on Darren McCarty. Check out. Same kind of thing. Crazy story, ups and downs. Some wild stories in there too. Just of parties and such like that. Makes my life look incredibly boring. Mike, your book?
Couple quick ones. Kevin Shea's Barocco Without a Trace, which is, if you want to read about Bill Barocco and what type of player he was, where he came from, what happened to him, the discovery of the plane that he crashed in 11 years after he disappeared. It's a thorough and a very interesting book. Another one that's really good is called 67, written by Gord Stellick, former GM of the Leafs, and Damian Cox of the Toronto Star, now of Sportsnet,
And I was this close to making Damian Cox part of my ice bucket challenge. Just want to throw that out there. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's a really good book in terms of not only just talking about that last team in '67 that won the cup, but the years before where you could see the demolishing of the Maple Leaf organization, mostly by Punch Imlach, and they detailed how they passed up Bobby Orr, passed up Brad Park, and the things that they did going forward. It's a very interesting read.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. All right, guys, that's all the time we have left. A couple of quick things on The Game by Ken Dryden. That's a great one, Victor. Ask me about my favorite Marvel movie tomorrow, Bunk Tuesday, because we got to go. But I definitely wanted, and the new one is really good. So we're going to, for those of you in the chat room, we want to hang out. We're going to do a second show after this because we're on vacation next week, so we're doing 2 shows a day. So you can go and there will be another YouTube feed. Just go on the YouTube Hockey Buzz channel and pick up the YouTube feed, and then you come back in the chat room if you want to. We're supposed to be joined by John Jekyll Jingleheimer Schmidt, who's going to be who's in Chicago, our Chicago writer. So hang on, we'll be back. We're just going to go change shirts and start another show after that. So guys, thanks so much for joining us again today. Remember to get your ice bucket challenges ready. Someone out there challenge Mike. And
no!
Yes, someone. I'm calling it right now. The first person who challenges Mike to an ice bucket challenge will get a free Hockey Buzz season ticket for life. Life.
Where did he go?
I don't know. So, Mike, you got someone out there. The first person to do it on Twitter. The first person. I think you have to have done this yourself. So, or maybe just do it yourself, and then you can challenge him. But you have to do it. You have to actually perform the feat before you can challenge anybody. But do it. I want to see Mike.
I think he ran to his breaker switch to cut.
Yeah, right. I don't want to, crying out loud, don't challenge Josh. That's not Josh. Don't challenge Josh. He's already said his dog won't be able to film him. So, but yeah, make sure that you challenge Mike. So the first person, season ticket for life to Hockey Buzz. No. And that's I'm giving up a good $19 a year there. So come on now. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. Talk to you soon.